which we can find some joy moment to moment. The joy of recognizing each moment is an opportunity, you know, in a Buddhist mind, you know, to get closer to enlightenment. Because remember that things like enlightenment is a state of mind. You know? It's not like, you know, winning the Oscar for best movie. It's not an external thing. So the more that we can recognize, the more we can slow down enough in our minds to recognize opportunities in order to bring our, you know, to cultivate those positive qualities we have. We already have them. We just want to use them, practice them, so they become the strongest habits. And perspective can help us do that by being able to stand back and look at things from a different point of view. Just the fact that it is possible. Because we do have a habit in our society to say that some things, you know, are justified. We're justified in being negative, you know. And we want to see that, you know, that we actually can choose different options and that those options may be better for everyone, including ourselves. So, okay, so I want to do a little meditation on perspective. Does that suit? I mean, you can, you know, this is one of those things you can always just, you know, pose your camera so I can't tell what you do. Anyway, so take a moment to kind of go within again. So be aware of your body, you know, sit up straight, you know, with your kind of your shoulders back so your chest is open. This just is sort of that open-mindedness. You know, the Tibetans point to their heart when they say the word mind. You know, mind and heart are the same words. So, you know, we want to have that openness. But relaxed and awake and alert. And then we want to gaze downward. And just focus on your breath, that sensation of the breath going in and out for a moment. Allowing it to anchor us in this present time, right now. Nothing else to do but to sit here, breathing. If your mind is quite unsettled or all over the place, just forcefully bring the attention to the breath. That's in and out. Sometimes just silently saying that to yourself can help you direct your focus. Now try to bring to mind a friend of yours, someone you share confidences with, or stories of the day, whatever, just a friend who shares with you. Try to generate that feeling of comfortableness that you have when you're in the presence of a friend. And you're listening to them talk about their day. Now imagine that they're telling you about someone they're having difficulty with. Not a great big deal, just someone they're having a little problem with. And perhaps you connect with your friend. You can understand what they're saying, how they're feeling about this difficulty, even though you don't know this other person that they're talking about. But you can relate. Now, perhaps your friend is asking you to agree with them about their assessment of the situation. Imagine what you would do. You immediately just agree because you can also relate. You can also think, yes, this is a difficult person you're dealing with. But what if you don't agree? But there's a certain awkwardness. So in your mind's eye, try to step back and imagine the difficult person being talked about is talking to their friend about your friend. Imagine what they would say to their friend. Would it be much different? Would their feelings of frustration be any different than your friend's frustrations? Can you imagine that their experience is similar with each other? And think about their friend in the same position as you, listening to a friend describing a difficult situation for them, a difficult person for them. Perhaps you can even imagine telling your partner about this conversation. So just think about how these different perspectives, your own perspective, your friend's perspective, the difficult person's perspective, the friend they're telling, that perspective, the friends that you tell. How can looking at this from others' perspectives inform us in some way? What wisdom can they bring to the situation? Just in our minds. Now think about how, in those situations, we can be supportive to our friend without feeding negative states of mind or judgments or conclusions. And just gently bring your mind back to that breath, the sensation of the breath going in and out of the body. Allowing yourself to drop the conversation you're having in your mind. Just focus on the sensation in and out. And then when you're ready, just gently open your eyes. So Nicole, would you be able to put people into groups of like 3 for 10 minutes? So I want you to discuss, just what arose. You just discuss if there's if there, anything comes to mind about perspective or about how to be supportive without necessarily supporting someone's negative state of mind, if that's, what came up. Does that make sense? And to kind of, I need yeses or nos. Making sense? or a question mark? Everybody good? All right. Go for it, Nicole.
Hi, Peggy.
Hey, Nicole.
Did you not, did you not get put into a room?
No, I'm by myself.
Is it on your screen, does it not say go to a room?
Nope.
Oh. What do I see here? I have Peggy not joined. That's so weird. I'm always trying to learn. Peggy, move to, let's put you in breakout 1. No, because see, it says you're supposed to be in breakout 1. Okay, we're learning. All right, I'm gonna. One. All right, you're going 5.
I have join breakout room on my bottom. Should I hit that?
Okay, yeah, do that.
It says join breakout room 5.
Okay, yes, do that. One, 2, 3. $10. Let's do timer 7. Hi. Hi. Hi, Beth. Hi, Marianne.
Hello.
Hi, Shelley. Welcome back.
Okay. Did people find this difficult or uncomfortable? The visualization uncomfortable, not you know, talking about.
It was great.
Does anybody have anything to share?
I found it very helpful.
In what way?
And it gave me a different perspective. And it's nice to know that other people think like I do. You know, and so yeah, I found it very positive, very grateful for that.
Well, this is an interesting point that we really do like to know others think the way we do. What does that speak to? For those of you who can relate to that,
Oh, I must be right.
what? I'm sorry, Peggy.
Oh, I must be right.
Oh, I must be right. That's one way. I know for me, it's, oh, I'm not crazy.
It's a sense of understanding, you know, that somebody understands where you're coming from, a sense of camaraderie.
Joy? Joy had a raised hand. Is that still true? Maybe she's not even here at the moment. Okay.
She's on mute.
Oh, she's on mute.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, here I am.
Right.
You yeah, it's more to be accepted that other people agree with what you're saying, even if they don't agree. It's nice to hear what everybody has to say.
Yeah. Now this should relate to this idea of really looking at all sentient beings as being the same. That there's a reason why that's one of the foundations of this spiritual path. You know, that we really are, we like to know that we're similar to others, that we're not having an experience that is ours alone. You know, that's part of what we have friendships about, is just, you know, just some of that, you know, in the misery loves company kind of idea, but also just the, you know, that you're, you know, yes, you can sigh with relief with a friend, you know, about the traumas of the world, you know. So this, you know, this is another reminder of how, you know, when we are sitting there thinking, you know, nobody is like, thinks like I do, or, you know, da 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 da, you know, then it's probably not true. And that we're feeding some untruth, and that's not wisdom. You know, we don't want to feed our mistaken states of mind. You know, we want to kind of let go of that. What other things came to mind doing this exercise?
Hi, Venerable Tendron.
Yes,
During,
hi.
during the meditation, I realized that, wow, it can be hard to figure out the right things to say. And so I suppose the best solution is to listen, especially when someone's in the heat of the anger, and maybe talk to them at a separate time when they're more calm to help them through a solution if they want that.
Even if they want that, yes. So that's really important.
Mm-hmm.
And so our group is saying the same thing, that listening seems to be, you know, what is needed. That's one way to be supportive without, you know, we don't have to necessarily agree with what's being said, but we certainly can listen with empathy. Yes, Hernan.
I find that truth about letting people vent out, let them say what they want, you know, like what's like hurting them, they bring that out. But at the same time, sometimes I may find myself on a situation is that, do I really want to listen to this when there is like a divisive speech, and there's like people are coming from a point that I don't feel comfortable listening to it. So it's a little tricky sometimes on what is the time to leave? What is the time to say, okay, that's it, without being harsh?
Right. So how can we practice that? What tools? So when we're on a meditation cushion, reflecting on something, how can we reflect on this situation to help us find a way that, you know, to make, you know, the situation less uncomfortable or something? What is it? Because I know that for me, I seem to have two different groups of friends. Although one I would consider more friends. And those are my friends who, yes, they'll listen, but they won't let me get away with unhealthy habits either. I mean, they'll laugh with me over my unhealthy habits, but they really do encourage me to let go of negative states of mind. So finding that balance, how we can be a good friend to someone and not just be there to listen, no matter what it is they're saying. You know, it's like, it's a learning process, isn't it? Because people do need the space sometimes to just articulate, you know, what they've experienced. but it's about learning how to listen for that opportunity. If, you know, we've got something to suggest. Yes, Bobby.
So I heard and I agree with what Herman had said. I have a friend of mine who has a son in a 12-step program, and he tries to be supportive, but he says he listens with compassion as long as he can until it feels like he's pulling needles out of his eyes, and then he removes himself and says, I need to go now, or something of that sort. And I had a few people in my life that it was very difficult to listen to. I understood that they were suffering somehow, some way that caused them, but yet I found them to be extremely negative and almost toxic. So the same way I want to surround myself with all these positive people in this Zoom room right now, I want to limit my connection to those people that may be toxic. So just finding that balance, not to, discard everyone who may be suffering and have that negative perspective. I've also learned, this is going to probably sound chauvinist, but when the women in my life, whether my daughters, my wife, are speaking, they don't want me to come up, Mr. Fix-It, and tell them, hey, I heard that, and this is what you could do, should do. So I've learned zipping it works a lot better, and just listening. And I'm ignorant on the teachings of Buddhism, but I'm learning here and there. And I think I've read somewhere that it's at least three times, wait until someone asks 3 times before suggesting any sort of guidance or advice. So,
Right. So yeah, and definitely wait till they ask.
Yeah.
So yes, you read, they say that teachers shouldn't teach unless someone asks 3 times.
Uh-huh.
You want to make sure they really want you to speak to them. Yeah, Peggy. Yeah.
It's so interesting because, Bobby, I was just going to say, sometimes we need a space to just talk about how we're feeling and not have someone try to fix it. And when I might discuss something with my husband, he is the one that wants to fix everything. So that was so interesting for you to say that. And that was on my mind to discuss. Thanks.
So this is one of those things, isn't it? That we when we're listening, we really want to be present to what we're hearing. Are we hearing a request for help, or are we hearing a need for a sounding board, or just for someone to listen? All those things. Because when I asked for a solution, I wasn't asking for a solution to the other person's problems. It was more, how can we be supportive without feeding, negative states of mind? Because sometimes we have a habit of, when our friend comes to us, our good friend, and they're raging about something, that we just go, oh man, I can just imagine that. I could totally agree, and that just feeds their sense of, whatever. And that may not always be what we want to do, especially if we know that this is a habit someone has and they never, diffuse enough to really look at it. But we can still be supportive. And I do highly recommend that, that maybe if you feel like there are needles in your eyes, you've already passed, you're not still in a compassionate state. So, maybe that's a little too long, but anyway. But certainly those are clues that, maybe allowing this conversation to continue is more harmful than not, both to yourself and the other person. There's a reason that therapy appointments are 50 minutes. There's a point at which it isn't helpful. We're just rehearsing that state of mind again and again and again. And that doesn't help anybody if it's negative, So how about this idea of remembering, you know, so put ourselves in that position of the friend. We're the person that's having difficulty with someone. So being able to step back and recognize that the person you're struggling with may feel exactly the same way you do, that they're off somewhere getting ready to talk to their friend about you. How can that inform us? Just that thought. What can that, how can that shift our perspective? Or not? Beth?
There's a highly likely chance I am often wrong. And it just reminds me, we are both people trying to be happy. We don't want suffering. We're working with what we have, and what we have are maybe two different things.
Yeah.
So it brings a lot of humility, I would say.
And isn't it interesting that that's the second pillar? You know, you go from perspective to humility. You know, this understanding that our experience isn't any more true than someone else's experience. You know, and according to the Buddha, all of our experiences are influenced by ignorance, by this idea of that we have about the self as somehow separate, independent, self-sufficient, you know, individual. And then if we change that perspective to be less, you know, with that mind of equanimity, the idea that we're not so different. We may have different skills, we may have different backgrounds, we may have different, but we're all deeply desiring freedom from trouble, freedom from those disturbing minds. We would like to not have a disturbed mind, and we don't know how to go about it. You know, we try, you know, chocolate, we try drugs, and we try alcohol, and we try, you know, all sorts of things to not feel discomfort. Often we even just try to fix something so we don't have to feel the discomfort of listening to someone struggle. We just want to fix it so it goes away. You know, because it's hard to sit with someone who has some difficulty, especially if we think we have a solution to it. But of course, our solution may not be their solution. So we need a bit of humility about that, that we don't know everything, and that others can come up with their own solutions. Graziella, do you have something to add?
No, I'm good. Like
Okay.
that.
What else came up for people, if anything? Nicole, did you have something? I can't tell. I'm sorry. I'm just kind of looking around to see if anybody wants to add something.
One of the things that came to my mind, if we imagine that other people are talking about us when we're not around, we're hoping that they're compassionate and that they understand us and try to show us, you know, some kind of respect when they're talking about us. And we realize that that's what we have to do for everybody else ourselves, you know. It's just to knock people, and you can't do that, even though it's tempting.
Especially if you're right. So perspective, really being able the more we can practice this ability to just mentally step back and understand that that everyone is pretty much operating from this, you know, me is the center of the universe. Mine is the biggest concerns. You know, me, mine, that kind of thing. And that perspective is very limiting. And so the more we can step back and open our perspective, gives us a spaciousness. We can see humor in things that we can't see when we're in that center of the universe. We can see solutions that we can't see when we think we're just the center of the universe, when it's all about us. We can stop taking moments so seriously. So we've talked about that many of us have the habit of being judgmental. Isn't that a fun habit to look at? Because this gets at what Brian is saying, you know, that we have this notion that somehow we, you know, I don't know what it is. Is it a sense of, you know, we're always comparing ourselves to others, and on our good days, others are lacking, and on our bad days, we're lacking. I mean, you know, what is it? But we really do have this habit that somehow it's in, you know, it. My theory is we think it benefits us in some way to be judgmental of others. Otherwise, we wouldn't bother. So trying to look at things from a bigger perspective, like Brian say, you know, like really imagining our this little self we value so much as being the subject of conversation of someone else, his judgment, you know, can help us break this habit. Unless we just respond with being even more critically judging. So what can we do? I mean, is this a habit you're aware of? What do you think's going on there? Robert.
Oh, yeah, I think because I was just in North Florida where they speak different, they talk different, they look different. So I think it's not from being better. I think it's lack of understanding. That's what I think.
So again, it's perspective, isn't it?
Yes.
We
I
look
found
at
myself.
things from ours. Go ahead.
What's it? I found myself. I mean, I spoke differently. I looked differently. It just everything was different. So, and I try to remember, like, well, I mean, they spoke different. That country I was in. I mean, I was in the country. And I think, well, I sound funny too. I know I sound funny with this Boston accent, but I think it's just not from being better. Maybe that sometimes, but more than just lack of understanding. You know, like the city mouse and the country mouse. You know, like.
Yeah. No, I think that's true. Esther, did you want to add something? Maybe not. So this is the thing about perspective. It's recognizing that we have our own perspective and others have their own perspective. And sometimes we draw conclusions, we make judgments, we, you know, do all these things that have absolutely no bearing on the truth. So that's another, you know, so thinking about, you know, all the different ways in which our perspective is narrow and how can we keep it, you know, opening it a little more and a little more you know, if we practice that on the cushion, it can help us in the moment when something, you know, like, what do we say? It presses our buttons or hooks us into, you know, into our own little, you know, narrow perspective as it's all about me, so that we can step back and not have it from that perspective, not experience something from that perspective. You know, so it's really helpful to reflect on these things again and again and again in order for them to become a new habit of how we approach things. You know, how we respond to different conditions, so that we can, you know, have a larger framework. Because the narrow perspective makes it more likely to be a condition for suffering. Because things go wrong all the time. We disagree with people all the time. We have flat tires all the time. So if we keep our little closed perspective going all the time, then everything seems huge. So next week, we're going to start looking at humility. So you might want to think of this week about what does that word mean to you? Let's see. I'm not used to this computer at all, right? This computer is very slow. See, computers make me impatient. It's very sad. Well, it's not there. There's the person who edited this book of joy looked up the etymology of humility, and its root is hummus or something, not to be confused with the chickpea dip of hummus, but it's like HUMA, and that's like the earth. You know, like what we use something that's similar. I mean, that means the earth. Maybe in gardening or something. It's also the same root for the word humor. So it's interesting anyway. So, you know, think about it, about how you feel about the word humility. What do you think about it? And we'll talk about it next week, because it's considered a pillar of joy. So it's interesting, isn't it? And it's like the 7-limb prayer in Buddhism. You know, the first step is, you know, reverently I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind. You know, it's this, you know, this acknowledgement that we don't know it all. We don't know what to do sometimes. We don't know, or anytime maybe, you know, it's just, it's this willingness to be open to the wisdom of others. You know, a willingness to see that we're not better than or worse than, you know, that whole thing. So there's many things to think about. So we'll look at that. Are there any announcements?